My friendship with Preston and Chloe spanned a full 70 years. They were renowned chemists, and I was the chemist's wife, his closest confidante. I devoted my entire life to supporting their careers. Later, they passed away on the same day. Their wills stipulated that all assets be left to the other to be buried together in the future.
In the next life, I want to make it up to Chloe.
Next life, please don't fight me over Preston, okay?
In the blink of an eye, I woke up back at age 18, watching their flushed faces as they gazed at each other. I smiled and erased my answers on the AP placement exam sheet. This time, I won't meddle in your love or be your accessory. I have a name. I have my own life. Stepping out of the testing hall, I stumbled upon my boyfriend Preston kissing my best friend Chloe in the hallway.
Are you crazy? What if Maya catches us?
What else can I do when I love you, given a second chance at life? I have nothing left to fear.
The corner of the boy's white button-down fluttered in the breeze. Her long hair swayed gently in the wind. Two valedictorians, two geniuses, a match made in heaven. I stood at a distance for a long time. Only after they parted calmly did I walk over to retrieve my backpack. Chloe greeted me nonchalantly.
Maya, why did you take so long to finish? Didn't I secretly signal you the answers?
Preston deliberately averted his gaze, his voice cold.
Hurry up and pack, we're waiting for you.
Under the setting sun, our three shadows stretched far apart. Cheating on exams is wrong. I wanted to rely on myself. I recalculated every single problem. I lifted my face. I have plans with friends. I won't be going home with you too. Preston and Chloe froze in unison. I slung my backpack over my shoulder and turned to walk in the opposite direction. Since we've all been given a second chance, let's walk our own paths and support ourselves. During elementary school physicals, 3 rare AB-negative blood types were discovered in our entire school. Me, Preston, and Chloe. That extraordinary connection made us friends. We walked hand in hand through 70 years. My first pair of properly fitting sneakers was a gift from Chloe. The first love letter I ever received was written by Preston. They came from privileged backgrounds, intelligent and beautiful. While soaring high themselves, they never left me behind. They took me with them to college, then into the research institutes. Until their passing, my grave lies right beside theirs. Amidst the flowers sent by countless younger scholars, a small space was squeezed out. The name Maya on the tombstone had long faded beyond recognition. Instead, the words wife of chemist Preston, dear friend of chemist Chloe stood out in sharp relief. And so passersby suddenly understood. So there was someone like me. Truthfully, my life was one of comfort, surrounded by genius. I should have had no regrets, yet standing at life's end, looking back, there were so many grievances I had swallowed silently. In high school, my grades were mediocre, but I showed talent in painting. I earned recognition from the dean of the Rhode Island School of Design. My family couldn't afford expensive portfolio prep classes, so I taught myself in secret and registered for the art school admissions review. But on audition day, Preston and Chloe were in a car accident to donate blood for them. I missed the review. In the hospital room, Chloe cried as she apologized.
I am so sorry, so sorry. It is all our fault for being careless, but you, an ordinary person, actually wanted to go to art school. The path of art costs a lot of money. Can your family even afford it?
Chloe was right. My family couldn't even afford the fees for SAT prep courses, so studying art was clearly not a practical choice. Though my heart was filled with regret and resentment, saving the lives of 2 dear friends made it worthwhile. To repay me, Preston and Chloe spent their entire senior year pushing me to study relentlessly. In the end, the 3 of us stayed in Boston together. They gained early admission to Ivy League universities while I enrolled in a local state college's business administration program. My school was very close to the elite campuses they'd been admitted to. With my dear friends by my side, life was simple and happy. In my senior year, the dean of Rise never gave up on me and invited me to intern on his restoration project. The workplace was inside the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I joyfully told Preston and Chloe the news. But then I learned they'd been heavily recruited by a national research institute and were about to settle across the country in Seattle. Chloe held my hand, reluctant to part.
Maya, I am genuinely happy for you. You finally achieved your dream, but won't it be tough maintaining a long-distance relationship with Preston? Isn't that Dean a fraud anyway? Was his prestigious status? Why would he specifically invite someone like you?
Preston sat silently in the corner. A flicker of displeasure danced in his cold, clear eyes. We parted ways for a while, each quietly charting our own course. Unexpectedly, before any breakup could happen, news of my pregnancy arrived. They say online that fetuses release hormones to interfere with a mother's thoughts as they grow inside her. Perhaps I thought of my single mother raising me alone. Perhaps I thought of it as a life too. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to go through with the procedure. I turned down my internship opportunity, married Preston, and we settled in Seattle. Preston and Chloe's careers flourished, and they secured me an administrative position through their connections. It was low-paying, low-stress, and stable. The 2 townhouses assigned by the Institute were right next to each other, so the 3 of us remained together daily. We grilled burgers in the summer and made chili in the winter, living warm and happy lives. Years later, a deputy director position opened in the Institute's public relations department. My outstanding performance over the years, representing the Institute to win national awards multiple times and creating scientific illustrations selected as journal covers, made me a strong candidate for promotion. But Preston and Chloe were also promoted simultaneously, soon to relocate to Los Alamos for a major defense research project. Chloe bought champagne to celebrate.
Congratulations on shining brightly in our respective fields. But after your promotion, Maya will be so busy with weekly regional conferences. You won't have time for the household, right?
Preston held our daughter, who was quietly wiping away tears, and whispered to me,
Maya, one of us must stay home to care for Lily.
Our daughter was about to start elementary school. Chloe's son, born out of wedlock, had just been weaned. Household responsibilities needed tending, and our aging parents required care. After weighing the options, it was once again me who conceded first, relinquishing the promotion opportunity. From then on, I set down my paintbrush and picked up the spatula, busily dedicating myself to the family. In the blink of an eye, decades passed. Our children grew up accomplished, our family harmonious. I lived the happy life most people envied. But on each restless night, what did I think about? I thought of the day my mother passed away, when I desperately called my direct supervisor, Chloe, begging for special permission to fly out of state. I called from dawn till dusk, pleading with countless people. Only after my mother drew her last breath did I receive a single text from Preston.
Chloe is chairing a high-level review board for a project involving hundreds of people today. She had to silence her phone and turn it off. Your minor issue can wait until another day.
I thought about the day my daughter got married. I picked up my paintbrush again to prepare a gift for her, yet it still couldn't compare to the casual sketches of a freshman at an art college. In the end, I didn't even present it to her. Throwing away the painting cost me precious time. When I returned to the reception hall, Chloe had already taken my place, holding my daughter's hand as she walked down the aisle. I recalled the day Preston received his Lifetime Achievement Award. Children and students gathered below the stage, helping me adjust my corsage. When Preston thanked me moments later, the camera would pan to this old woman. It would be broadcast nationally. But Preston spoke at length, yet not once did he mention my name. Only Chloe. He thanked his lifelong partner, his confidant, his soulmate, Chloe. From their youthful acquaintance to their shared journey into old age, Chloe had been by his side through every milestone along the way. They had gazed at stars together across the boundless New Mexico desert. They had reached the pinnacle of chemistry side by side. As for me, my lifetime of toil over groceries and mundane chores, a housekeeper could have handled that. What was there to be thankful for? I handled the funeral arrangements for Preston and Chloe. They passed away on the very same day. The farewell letters they left behind contained the exact same words. They bequeathed their inheritance to each other, wishing to be buried together in the future.
Maya, I gave all my love to you in this life. In the next, I want to make it up to her.
Maya, I gave you all my love in this life. Next time, please don't fight me over him. Okay?
So what about me? Was I just a bystander to your splendid lives? Suddenly, I recalled that night decades ago when Preston confessed to me. I brought boba tea to celebrate New Year's Eve with them. Opening the door, I saw flowers and cake arranged in the living room. Candlelight reflected in Preston's deep, earnest eyes fixed unwaveringly on Chloe. I blurted out, "Are you two confessing your feelings?" Chloe flushed instantly, playfully shoving me toward Preston.
No way. I'd never like this annoying guy. We're rivals just trying to outstudy each other so I can be valedictorian.
As the midnight countdown finished, colorful fireworks exploded outside the window. Preston gave Chloe one last look before pulling a confession letter from his pocket and handing it to me.
Yeah, I don't like you either. Stop flattering yourself. The one I like is Maya.
The prom king and queen, a pair of bickering sweethearts spouting contradictory lies, and the bystander foolishly believed every word, a lifetime muddled through in confusion. Mistaking bitterness for romance, I spent half my life writing a tragedy. If only I could start over. Start over. I tell you, I'll stay far away from you both. Reclaim my own bright, shining life. I woke up in the final semester of senior year when the high school divided classes into AP STEM tracks and regular tracks. Without Chloe's help on the placement exam, my scores only qualified me for the regular track. I saw it as the perfect chance to say goodbye. I left the iMessage group chat, unfriended them, leaving only one message. I want to focus on my studies. I won't be on my phone anymore. But on the first day of school, Preston came looking for me. Dressed in a crisp varsity jacket and jeans, his posture was straight and tall, his features sharp and handsome, drawing frequent glances from the girls in the hallway. In my past life, Preston had admirers even in his twilight years, but seeing his face now, I felt not a flicker of attraction.
Maya, I'll ask the guidance counselor for a chance to get you back into the AP class. You should prepare well.
Just as I was about to speak, Chloe suddenly ran over, linking her arms through ours.
What secret talk are you two having without me? Dating and forgetting your bestie, huh? Maya, seriously, I gave you the answers, yet you didn't copy them. How could you possibly get into the AP STEM class on your own? Preston is such a hottie. If you don't keep him tied to your side, what if some other girl snatches him away before graduation?
I savored the hidden meanings in each sentence, then suddenly lowered my gaze and smiled. Turning around, I pushed away Chloe's arm. Then I'll just break up with Preston first. We won't be in the same classes anymore and we don't live together. Dating is such a hassle. There are only a few months left before the SATs. I want to focus on studying. Preston froze for a moment, his hands at his sides slowly clenching into fists. Just as I turned to walk away, he suddenly grabbed my wrist.
Maya, don't regret this.
What was there for me to regret? I once loved you so deeply, yet we never took a single photo together in our youth. We never took a single vacation alone together in decades of marriage. I left not a single trace in your remarkable life. It was time to end this. Didn't you hear me say we're breaking up? I lifted my gaze coldly to meet Preston's eyes. Seizing his momentary distraction, I shoved Chloe forcefully into his arms and turned to leave. Avoiding someone is simple. Avoid eye contact, cut off contact, steer clear of every hallway he walks down. I studied intensely for 4 months like this. By the time college admissions rolled around, my SAT scores were worse than in my previous life. I'd been away from high school academics for too long. Even picking up a paintbrush, I couldn't recapture my former touch. But I wasn't sad. If you too were to wake up at 18 like me, with endless time and a vibrant life ahead, what does one failure matter? I devised a plan to take a gap year and retake the exams. I knew my family had no money, but I could apply for student loans and work part-time without burdening them. On the day I mustered the courage to discuss it with my mother. She, usually so strict, agreed readily.
Even the greatest achievements begin as mere dreams. If this is what you love, then pursue it. Don't worry about the money. I want my daughter to live a life of courage, beauty, freedom, and brilliance. Always remember this. The light you carry within yourself will never fail you.
As a child, I misunderstood my mother deeply. If she hadn't insisted on the divorce, I wouldn't have been separated from my father. She wouldn't have had to work dawn to dusk to support us, enduring such hardship. What was wrong with a stable, comfortable life? Why couldn't she tolerate even a single flaw in her marriage? Only when reflecting on these things in my twilight years did I realize how much braver she was than me. To support my gap year and intensive portfolio prep, Mom decided to sell our house and move closer to the city. Our small neighborhood diner would relocate with us. On the final day of business at the old diner, Preston, whom I hadn't seen in ages, appeared at the door and bought every remaining bagel and coffee. He silently tapped his phone to Apple Pay, then placed flowers and a gift box before me.
For you, happy birthday. I never properly celebrated your birthday before. Take these.
The overwhelming fragrance made me momentarily dazed. Today was my 18th birthday. My birthday was just one day before Chloe's. In my past life, Preston found it inconvenient, so he'd always buy 2 cakes and 2 gifts on Chloe's birthday to celebrate both of us together. After all, the dates were so close, blowing out candles a day later didn't matter. Such petty grievances multiplied endlessly over the years. I had stopped caring long ago.
Whoa, why did you buy the gift today? My birthday isn't until tomorrow. Stupid guy got the date wrong. You deserve a smack.
Chloe walked up from the street, interrupting my memories. She pouted and playfully shoved Preston's shoulder, ready to scold him. Preston didn't dodge. Instinctively, he blurted out,
I didn't get the date wrong. Today is Maya's birthday, not yours. This gift is for her. Only for her.
I've done so many things I should apologize for, but I won't say sorry. It is really pointless. I gave a faint, cold laugh. I handed Preston his bag of food and pushed the flowers and gift away. Thanks for the well wishes, but I won't take the gift. We're not that close. The elegant gift box rolled off the counter, landing precisely at Preston's feet. He lowered his gaze, stunned. Chloe's expression flickered between light and shadow as she dashed into the diner and hooked her arm through mine.
Maya, that hurts my feelings. We're the best friends in the whole world, but I have something to tell you. Preston and I applied to the University of Washington together. I won't be able to study with you on the East Coast like I did in our past life.
Chloe blinked innocently, her eyes brimming with pride.
Stop pretending. We've all come back to the past, haven't we? Since we've been given a second chance, we should choose the best path for our lives. You won't blame us, will you?
Chloe, stop.
Preston interrupted her softly. A flicker of guilt and remorse flashed in his eyes. Chloe has a fever. I'll take her home first.
Don't submit your college applications carelessly. Wait for me to review them when I return. There are plenty of colleges in Seattle. Your scores are more than sufficient for admission. We won't abandon you. Maya, wait for me to come back.
The midsummer sun scorched our clothes to the touch, while cicadas buzzed incessantly. Preston guided Chloe toward an Uber. Across the street, Mom urged me to close up shop quickly. The moving truck was about to leave. She asked if those were Preston and Chloe. Had I given them our new address? I shook my head. There was no need. We each had our own paths to walk. Birds of the sky and fish of the sea belong to different worlds. From now on, our paths would never cross again. Taking a gap year gradually brought me back to my best academic and artistic form. If I failed, I was prepared to try again. Unexpectedly, near the end of summer break, my acceptance letter to art school arrived. It turns out the most terrifying thing in life isn't repeated failures. It is drifting through existence in a haze, only realizing what you truly wanted in your twilight years. By then, even the chance to fail is gone. At freshman convocation, I spoke as the student representative. My gaze swept the audience and suddenly paused on a familiar face. Preston, his dark hair had grown longer, falling to partially shade his eyes, his gaze steady. Last year, in the final hour of college applications, he had changed his choice and stayed in Boston, just like in my past life. And Chloe, to follow him, had actually given up on the University of Washington and taken a gap year to retake her exams. Unfortunately, her new SAT scores fell a few points short of getting into an Ivy League school, so she chose an ordinary state college nearby. She was no longer the star of her major, no longer surrounded by an aura of brilliance. Now she was simply Preston's girlfriend, happily leaning on his arm. Past life and present life, roles reversed. Perhaps this was the life she truly wanted. That evening, my dorm floor went to a popular downtown spot for hot pot. I took a call midway and returned to find my roommate had already portioned out the dipping sauces for me. Vinaigrette with red pepper flakes, hold the cilantro. The fruit plate included mango, which I am not allergic to. My favorite mushroom platter and shrimp dumplings were placed closest to me.
We just met. How would I know what you like? That handsome guy at the next table helped you out. What is your relationship? He has been stealing glances at you.
My roommate pointed to the next table for me to see. It was Preston again. When had Preston ever cared about my tastes? I only remembered him as arrogant and single-minded in his research, never paying attention to such trivial matters. Ask him to buy a bottle of vinegar and he'd come back with soy sauce. I was allergic to mangoes in my past life, yet he still bought several boxes of them as souvenirs after returning from a conference in Hawaii. In our later years, we joined group dinners together. He ordered 8 dishes Chloe loved, yet couldn't name a single one I enjoyed.
Chloe and I often eat together at the lab. We know each other's tastes. Don't read too much into it.
Disappointment had long piled up like mountains. Even if you threw your absolute sincerity right in front of me, I wouldn't believe it anymore. My roommate asked again.
What exactly is your relationship? Is he your boyfriend?
I shook my head and pushed the condiments aside. We're not close. Don't just take things from strangers. What if it is poisoned? At Preston's table, everyone chatted and clinked glasses, but he alone stared blankly at the boiling broth. The swirling steam veiled his handsome features as his gaze gradually dimmed. Soon after, Chloe returned from the restroom. She noticed Preston hadn't helped her with anything, not even folding her jacket, which lay untouched where she'd left it. Her expression turned complex for a moment. Suppressing her emotions, she turned to greet me.
What a coincidence, Maya. Haven't seen you in over a year. I forgot to tell you, Preston and I are dating now. Since we're basically the old married couple of the group, you'll definitely have to come to our wedding someday.
Chloe took Preston's hand. I had nothing to hold, so I grabbed my phone and smiled back at her. The screen displayed the scholarship funds that had just been deposited into my account. We were both content with our lives after getting a second chance, but a flicker of realization crossed Preston's eyes. His Adam's apple bobbed as if he wanted to speak, but he swallowed the words back down. As the evening crowd dispersed, I waited alone by the roadside for an Uber when suddenly an argument erupted behind me. Preston's friend stormed out of the restaurant, cursing, wiping blood from the corner of his mouth.
You are freaking crazy. I just asked if the art school freshman had a boyfriend and if she'd give me her Instagram. What did I do to you? Why the hell did you hit me?
Preston's eyes were hazy with drunkenness. After hearing this, he suddenly broke free from Chloe's support and charged forward, pinning his friend to the ground and punching him. Punch after punch, his eyes red with rage.
You dare touch someone else's wife. Say another word.
The art school freshman is your wife, then who the hell is Chloe? You've lost your mind.
Maya. My wife is Maya.
The winter night wind swept through bare branches. Several fallen leaves were roughly tossed onto Preston's shoulders, as if whispering tales of absurdity and sorrow. Chloe and I stood on opposite sides of the street, watching Preston sob and stifle, watching his confusion. Finally, he regained his composure, and we each turned to go home. No matter how late the sunset arrives, it will eventually fall upon me, and you are no longer my light. During my college years, I focused on my studies and received considerable guidance from the dean. The internship opportunity I had missed in my past life became the main focus of my graduate research. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays were spent at the Metropolitan Museum of Art researching classical painting restoration. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays were for classes. My part-time online webcomic earned a solid income of several $100,000. finally allowing my mother to retire and rest. By 2032, technological advancements enabled the chemical recreation of pigments used in classical paintings. Preston's research focused on aerospace coatings. A web of connections finally brought us together at an industry conference. The campus heartthrob Preston of old had shed his youthful awkwardness. A crisp black suit accentuated his composed aura. During the networking break, he approached us with colleagues to exchange business cards. Blending into the crowd, he casually asked,
Would you do me the honor of dinner tonight?
"Sorry, I have dinner plans." Preston watched me quietly amidst the bustling crowd, his eyes flickering.
I always knew you were gifted. I knew you'd achieve greatness someday. It was me who held you back in our past life.
Let's not waste words on the past.
Maya, must you always?
You are blocking my way. Could you step aside? Preston froze for a few seconds before slowly letting out a bitter smile. Over 60 years of marriage. Now we couldn't even muster the patience for 6 sentences. Perhaps this was our inevitable ending. The second half of the conference dragged on tediously, so I gathered my things and slipped out to head toward the exit. Preston's seat was in the back rows. As we passed each other, I heard him whisper in a hoarse, trembling voice,
Chloe just gave birth to a son. I am honoring my promise to marry her. But if you tell me not to, I can pretend nothing ever happened. You and I can continue walking hand in hand through the rest of our lives.
I thought I'd misheard and turned to look at Preston. His breath caught for a moment before he quickly averted his gaze, his angular profile fading into the dim auditorium lighting. Must have been my imagination. Did someone just speak? I muttered to myself, was that even human speech? I wasn't particularly interested in Chloe having a baby, but when I went in for my annual physical, I ran into her in the hospital lobby.
Maya, it has been 5 years. How have you been? Oh dear, look at me. I've already given birth, and Preston didn't even tell you.
Chloe was wheeled back to her maternity ward by a nurse. She clutched Preston's hand tightly as if flaunting it to me. Her pale face radiated happiness.
Still, I am glad we ran into each other. We're moving to Seattle soon to get married and settle down. Who knows when we'll see each other again?
Though only 5 years had passed, Chloe looked horribly aged. Her hair was dry and brittle, her face worn with exhaustion. A stark contrast to her vibrant spirit in my past life. She'd abandoned her Ivy League dreams, sacrificed her studies for romance, and traded her diploma for pregnancy and the pressures of marriage. What good were her memories of the past life? Now she didn't even qualify to apply for entry-level lab positions. All she had left was Preston. Was it really worth it? I patted Chloe's shoulder. Yeah, we probably won't get another chance to meet. I am participating in a university fellowship in Europe. After graduation, I'll be assigned to teach overseas and might not return to the States. Chloe's smile slowly froze on her face. Her eyes flickered with confusion, then flooded with overwhelming exhaustion. The next moment, Preston accidentally knocked over the IV stand. His expression darkened. I thought I knew what was troubling him. The nurse carried out the baby boy belonging to him and Chloe. His features were identical to Tyler, the son Chloe had given birth to out of wedlock in my past life. In my previous existence, my best friend Chloe had gotten pregnant after a drunken college party. Unwilling to terminate the pregnancy, she gritted her teeth and carried the child to term. She told me not to feel sorry for her.
I am an independent modern woman. I don't need a man. I can make my own life work.
But despite her words, she knew nothing about childbirth or parenting. She couldn't even cook. When work got busy, she'd go months without coming home. I practically raised her son, Tyler, all by myself when he got married and had children. I even wrote him a massive check to buy a house. But after Preston and Chloe passed away, Tyler and his daughter donated their entire inheritance to charity in their own names, earning themselves a reputation for virtue. I couldn't afford the exorbitant out-of-pocket chemotherapy fees and eventually died in agony at home. I couldn't understand why the child I raised with my own hands treated me this way. Only now did I understand. They were the real family all along, and I was the only one foolishly kept in the dark.
Tyler, look, this is your godmother.
He is not allowed to be called Tyler. He is not.
Preston shoved the bassinet away forcefully, nearly knocking over a nurse. Everyone fell silent in shock. He chased after me out of the hospital. He followed me all the way to the parking garage, desperately grabbing my car door.
Maya, I admit I liked Chloe in my past life. On New Year's Eve, I gave you that confession letter out of spite. Over the decades since, my indecision caused you so much pain. But now I see my true heart. I admit I was wrong. Let me make it up to you, okay? Please don't leave.
I stared up at Chloe, who was standing expressionless at the second floor window, at baby Tyler wailing in her arms. Uncontrollable nausea churned in my stomach. Belated devotion was truly revolting. Get lost, don't touch my car. I shoved Preston away, slid into the driver's seat, and slammed the door shut. His eyes were bloodshot, like a broken idol thrown off an altar. He leaned against the window, desperate, shouting at me.
You don't want our daughter either. You don't love her. You don't want to be her mother anymore.
Our daughter, Lily. She seemed to prefer her cool, pretty aunt, Chloe. Her Instagram was filled with photos of her and Chloe. On trips, she only brought souvenirs back for Chloe. Even at her wedding, it was Chloe who walked her down the aisle. I was like the free live and nanny, silently sacrificing my whole life for her. I am not going to birth a knife to stab myself in the back with a father carrying such toxic traits. It is better not to have a child at all. She has no reason to exist in this world. Using children to morally blackmail women is the most foolish tactic. No matter how times change, the decision to bear children will always rest with women. If I don't want her, then she shouldn't be born. After leaving the hospital that day, I couldn't shake the bitter taste in my mouth. That very night, I wrote an anonymous whistleblower email to the Research Institute's ethics board. Preston had disgusted me so many times. Why should I let him live comfortably? My youth sailed smoothly, bathed in glory. Graduating from a prestigious university, studying under renowned masters, my dazzling resume drew envy from countless peers. The webcomics I created in college sold multiple rounds of publishing rights. Finally, they secured a Hollywood film adaptation. The 8-figure royalty fee granted me financial freedom early on. In my 30s, I returned to the States as a tenured professor at an elite university with boundless prospects ahead. But my career consumed all my time, leaving no room for marriage, so I didn't have to worry about children, elderly parents, or a husband completely clueless about daily life. On those sleepless nights, I no longer cried alone in secret. Instead, I'd get up to check how many tens of thousands my stock portfolio had gained, then drift back to sleep with a satisfied smile. Memories of my past life grew increasingly distant. It felt as though this present existence was the life that had been stolen from me. In my second year back on the East Coast, I encountered Preston again. The Research Institute was a hotbed of talent, fiercely competitive. Back then, when I wrote that whistleblower email, I thought I'd destroyed Preston's career. But he'd left the Institute entirely and now held a senior VP position at a Fortune 500 tech company. At a university industry networking mixer, he approached me with the same dashing confidence as in my past life. A colleague handed him a business card, mistaking us for a married couple. Just as I opened my mouth to correct them, Preston calmly smiled and nodded in agreement, smoothly shifting the topic. Suddenly, a woman burst into the banquet hall, her eyes red-rimmed as she pushed past the crowd. It was Chloe. She wore an ill-fitting pantsuit, one high heel lost in the rush. Her makeup was cakey and exaggerated, her hair dull and unkempt, her posture slumped. From head to toe, there was no trace of her former brilliant self.
Preston, when my dad was fighting for his life in the ICU when I begged you to contact a surgical specialist, were you busy flirting with this bitch? Where were you when I needed you? Have you no shame?
Chloe pointed at Preston, screaming hysterically, heedless of the corporate crowd, acquaintances, or the event photographers. Like a raving lunatic, she raised her arm to slap me. The next second, Preston shoved her ruthlessly to the ground, shouting for hotel security to intervene. Chloe crashed into a champagne tower, drawing everyone's horrified attention. Her face flushed as she scrambled to her feet. Not fully processing what had happened, her movements froze abruptly. Tears streamed down from her vacant eyes. I realized she had wet herself. So this was how wretched and lowly my past self had been. So this was how unmistakable Preston's indifference towards someone could be. Why did he always get to stand there polished and perfect, watching the tragedy of two women unfold? During the coffee break, I found Chloe in the hotel restroom. She'd made a mess of the stall, and after failing to clean it with ammonia-based toilet bowl cleaner, she'd fetched a bottle of bleach from the janitor's cart. Just as she twisted the cap open, I stopped her. You can't mix those two. It creates toxic gas. It is basic chemistry. Don't you understand? Remember, you used to be a chemist. Chloe stood there blankly in her soiled clothes, fists clenched so tightly her nails dug deep into her palms. Perhaps she truly had forgotten. She hadn't finished her degree properly, hadn't worked a day in the lab, and had been a full-time housewife for over a decade. Even her memories of her former life were fading. I had a grad student bring over a spare dress and makeup bag. I bent down to wipe away the cheap foundation smeared across her face and carefully redrew her eyebrows. Just as she had once helped me up on the high school track after I fell during the 800-meter run, my cheap sneakers flying off while everyone laughed at me, just as she had bent down to help me put on a brand new pair of Nikes. Our friendship had been pure. Our dynamic as a trio had been good too. But when did that trio's friendship start to sour?
You once said that if the price of success is someone silently sacrificing behind the scenes, if the one who sacrifices gains no fame, no profit, Not even a single sincere heart of gratitude. Would she be willing?
Why should she be? I don't know how much you love Preston, but before loving others, you have to love yourself first. After his rebirth, Preston hadn't continued his original academic research, but his intellect remained. His corporate breakthroughs reshaped the entire industrial coding sector. His stellar resume and striking appearance reaped dividends, drawing hundreds of thousands of followers on LinkedIn and Twitter. Securing just one more multinational partnership would elevate him to president of North American operations. But at the critical moment of signing the contract, his father fell critically ill, and his son got arrested for a bar fight. Home affairs had always been handled by Chloe. She'd manage everything, but Chloe had taken a rare weekend trip out of town, completely unreachable by phone, leaving these disasters unattended. Preston wavered between closing the deal and dealing with his family emergencies, while the European client lost patience first and abandoned the partnership. They couldn't understand, why would anyone prioritize a corporate contract over a dying father hesitating in such a situation? Preston got the first multiple choice question of his new life wrong, and his corporate climb stalled. Still carrying that academic's arrogance, he looked down on his corporate colleagues, continuing to bury himself in product development and business trips. Without Chloe's constant care at home, his health quickly deteriorated. Without her managing his social calendar with superiors and subordinates, his office politics suffered. He faced exclusion at work, was removed from the executive team, and eventually caught in a wave of corporate layoffs. Bound by an ironclad non-compete agreement, he was barred from working in the tech and coding sector for at least a decade. His patents and product achievements were divided among his former peers. A scientist sheltered in an ivory tower all his life, how could he possibly outmaneuver the cutthroat sharks of corporate America? Coincidentally, that day I had brought several grad students to the university lab to retrieve archival materials. As we exited, we stumbled upon Preston causing a scene at the entrance. Clutching his old research notes, he declared this was the trump card for a Nobel Prize and demanded to see the department head. One of his former students took the documents, glanced through them, and shook his head with a pitying smile.
The issue of aerospace coatings withstanding atmospheric reentry is no longer a challenge. Your material is outdated. The formulas are even wrong.
Preston froze, then defended himself.
In the past, my wife and lab assistants handled all the documentation. I am not skilled with the paperwork side. It is probably a clerical error. Look again. What do you know? My genius is irreplaceable.
Have you even kept up with peer-reviewed journals? How many hours do you actually spend in a lab anymore? What gives you such confidence?
The postdoc urged Preston to seek psychiatric help and summoned campus security to escort him out, threatening to call the cops otherwise. We locked eyes across the chaotic crowd. Preston's bloodshot eyes flickered with bewilderment, then rage, before he collapsed heavily to the pavement like ordinary, insignificant trash by the curb, forgotten forever. Life presents countless multiple choice questions, each with infinite possible outcomes. One wrong answer, and you can never reach the same ending. Before I knew it, I was in my 50s, leading a team of art and design students. I created a large-scale aerospace-themed installation to represent our university in applying for a prestigious national grant. On my way to the presentation, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Preston. His voice sounded weak.
Today, my account hit 1 million followers. I posted an article. The person I most want to thank is you. Too bad I never got the chance to say it in my past life.
I impatiently moved my thumb to press the hang up button. As if reading my mind, Preston pleaded for me to let him finish.
Waiting for your forgiveness is so hard. Maybe I've let you down too many times. You must have loved me for a long time when you abandoned your art school audition to rush to the hospital for my blood transfusion. I should have realized it then. I just understood too late. If I were in another car accident right now, would you still come to me no matter what?
In a sudden flash of clarity, I finally understood how despicable someone like Preston truly was. Through past lives and present ones, he loved no one but himself. He silently feasted on one woman's devotion and another's ambition, cashing in on their sacrifices to pave his own path to glory. He always claimed to be a romantic, deeply devoted soul. He was always a fraud. You didn't get into an accident already, did you? Couldn't find our rare blood type in the hospital bank, so you called both me and Chloe to test who loved you more? Why don't you just drop dead Preston? A long, deafening silence came from the other end of the line, so I tossed the phone onto the passenger seat, parked the car, and got back to work. It wasn't until the evening news that I heard about Preston's death. It turned out exactly as I'd guessed. He'd been in a massive highway pileup, and in his final moments had called both me and Chloe. Too bad one of us was busy with a grant presentation. The other was busy with a corporate project bid. We both thought the other would cave and rush to save his life. In the end, neither of us did. Preston's will explicitly stated that all his remaining assets were to be left to me. I donated every single cent to charity in my own name. The day I signed the donation paperwork, Tyler flew into a rage.
What are you pretending to be so noble for? That is my dad's money, my family's money. What right do you have to give it all away? You didn't earn any of it.
He had a massive mortgage to pay on his newly bought house. He needed money for a lavish wedding to marry the girl he loved. His mother, Chloe, had just fallen ill and required expensive out-of-pocket medical treatments. Chloe, who understood exactly what had transpired between us across 2 lifetimes, didn't cry or make a scene. She just pulled Tyler's arm, shushing him to stop embarrassing himself.
What is mine is mine. What isn't mine, I don't want anyway. Why cry? It is just money. I can earn it back myself.
Sunlight fell on her no longer. Youthful face, her eyes gleaming with resolve. I seemed to see the 18-year-old Chloe who'd failed her AP exams, tearing up her test paper and walking away with grace. It had been so long since I'd seen that look. The ringing phone snapped me out of my thoughts. A grad student informed me that one of my gallery pieces had won a national award and would be included in high school literature textbooks. Not a scientific diagram, not promotional corporate artwork, an original piece of fine art laid out right next to an essay by Maya Angelou. The theme, female awakening, no longer living independence, no longer giving, sacrificing, or looking up from the shadows. Live your life boldly, rooted firmly like an oak tree. This journey through life, climbing mountains and crossing valleys, is for yourself alone.